What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down what's going on with the market for tomorrow, so we have some very important pieces of data coming out, not to mention some Fed speakers. But before I break into the devil's information, before I talk about what's happening with the markets, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, let's talk about the markets. So in this video, I'm going to try to make this a little bit quicker because it is Super Bowl Sunday. I'm also going to talk about the Super Bowl at the very end of the video and talk about who I think might end up winning. So I just wanted to do something kind of fun at the very end. Let's first talk about the market and the charts and then break down how things are looking. So for the economic calendar for tomorrow at 9:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Bowman from the Fed giving a speech. Okay, then we also have the consumer inflationary expectations at 11 a.m., which shouldn't cause anything too crazy. We have some bill auctions at 11:30, which could cause some moves. And then at 1 p.m., we have Kashkari also giving a speech. Now, let me just note that out of all the Fed speakers, Bowman and Kashkari are two of the most hawkish ones, so be a little bit careful when they speak. Bowman also spoke, I think, on Friday. It didn't really affect the market much, so hopefully Bowman doesn't cause anything. But Kashkari did speak a couple of days ago, and the market did drop temporarily when he spoke before getting a nice bounce. So just be a little bit careful, especially at 1 p.m. tomorrow when Kashkari opens his mouth. He could cause the market to move here and there. But despite that, the charts are looking bullish for the majority of big tech stocks and stocks in general out there. So I'm going to talk about the analysis of them in just a minute. I also want to mention that for earnings, it's going to be very minor. We just have Monday.com and just a few others before the market opens. After the market closes, it's all just very, very minor. For Tuesday, we have Shopify coming out, Coca-Cola, and the list goes on. We also have Airbnb, Robinhood, and a few others after the market closes. And later on for the week, we have Coinbase and Roku coming out for Thursday after market close. So I'll be watching those very, very carefully. But for now, just know earnings are going to be very, very minor. We have Monday.com on Monday. So I'll be listening to that as well. I'll be talking about that as well tomorrow morning. So now let's just talk about the charts. How are things looking in my opinion? Honestly, guys, the answer is bullish. SPY had this very, very nice looking breakout. We had this break of structure right here to the upside, right over here at this 496 area. Once we broke this, we had this 498 reaccumulation. SPY managed to break out from that, and one day we went all the way up to 501. SPY is still holding up quite nicely. So what do I think is going to play out? It's very simple. So if we're bearish, just hypothetically, okay, you want to be watching 500. If we get a rejection and we lose 500, I think we could easily sink back down to 598, or I'm sorry, 498, excuse me, guys, the 498s, because that's where this breakout happened to be, where this wick is. Into the 498s we'd go if we lose 500 in a very, very strong manner. But if we kind of like, if we just get a temporary drop and come back and hold above it very, very nicely, I'd be watching resistance in the 501 zone. If we continue to hold above it, and we're really, really bullish, we're going to be pushing up to 503, and above that we have 505 coming basically. So what do I think SPY is going to do? I think this thing is going to basically retrace a little bit when we open and start holding up nicely, kind of shuffling up here, and we could see an attempt to push, especially towards the end of the day, one little push towards this 501.6 area at the very least. I think we're going to be testing the all-time high again, and we'll see if we could break this. If we do break it, we could actually push up towards 503. Now, the market could try to push, but please know that Kashkari could change things at 1 p.m. And then also on Tuesday, we have CPI coming out. So I'd still be very careful, even if the market pumps really hard. I'd still be very careful because you never know what CPI could cause. We're expecting CPI to essentially just go down on every single metric, from core CPI year over year to month over month, and basically for everything. So I'll be watching for that very, very carefully. So the most likely possibility, SPY might actually retrace just a little bit in the morning, push intraday, get a nice little push to the upside, test the highs, and possibly try to break to new all-time highs. Then kind of slow down thanks to Kashkari as the time goes on again. And then at the very end of the day, we tend to get one more push up. So we might just see the market continue to just get bought back up and push up even more and try to break the all-time highs to higher levels. The odds do favor that, but please know that we have CPI on Tuesday, which will determine if the rally will continue or not. For the QQQ, we look bullish. We're going to be watching 438 as a key resistance. If we break this and we manage to hold above this, I think we could get very close to 440. And if we lose this, watch support at 436. If we lose that, our next target is going to be all the way down here towards 434. We also happen to have this imbalance down there. So in my opinion, the chart is looking bullish. We're continuing to make higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. So we're on a very, very nice uptrend, and this thing should start pushing even more. In my opinion, the QQQ might actually get a backtest of this trend line, retrace just at one point into the 436s just a little bit, and then it might start pushing back up towards 430. We may even break this and push for 440. We might see more upside, so I do favor that a little bit more. For Tesla, what do I think is going to pan out? Tesla is very simple, guys, because when you look at the chart, right, it looks like this. So we have a nice inverse head and shoulders and a very, very nice uptrend on Tesla. See how this thing was downtrending right here. Now, I know people say that Tesla's on a much bigger downtrend because it's like making a lower high right here. Well, the truth is, I'm not talking about the much bigger picture, like, 2-4 weeks out into the future. I'm just talking about tomorrow specifically. And when you talk about tomorrow, we're talking about some very short-term projections. So for me to do that, I just have to talk about what's been going on for the last couple of days. Last few days, we're on a nice uptrend, right? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and the list goes on. So ultimately, I think Tesla's going to reach this 195 to 196 zone up here, which is where we saw a lot of a choppy price action. And I think Tesla's going to push up where this red supply zone happens to be. I think Tesla has some upside coming, and I think we're going to get it tomorrow. One issue with Tesla is the news. You always, have to be prepared for this because sometimes I can't predict the news. You never know what's going to happen, but I still favor the upside based off the chart. Here's what happened to Tesla for the last few days. We opened up here, right? This was like a week and a half ago. We opened up here. We sold off, then bounced. We sold off, then bounced. We pushed up, sold off, then bounced. Sold off, then bounced. We pushed a little bit, sold off, and traded sideways. Here we pushed up, came down, and then bounced. So there's a very, very common trend here. Is Tesla might kind of like push up when we open just a little bit, come down, grab liquidity back down towards like 190 or so, and then bounce and start pushing up towards 195. That's the most likely possibility. So if Tesla drops, there's going to be a possibility of a very, very nice bounce later on during the day. That's what's been happening for the last couple of days, and I still have an ultimate price target that is more bullish on Tesla. So look for a little sell-off tomorrow. It's going to likely get some kind of sell-off, whether we start off up here and then we drop, or if we just drop from open. And then look for a bounce and a push up towards that 195 area. That's most likely what's going to happen because these institutions are trading Tesla with their algorithms and they're just buying it up very, very quickly. For Nvda, this is at all-time highs, pushing up very nicely. We got a nice cup and handle breakout as we predicted. Now, what do I think is going to pan out? Well, we're still looking bullish. I might want to cool off a little bit, retrace back down towards at least 712 to 715, and then break out towards 725 again. It could still push higher. And there's no sign it's done quite yet. And if we break that, our next target is going to be up to 730. I think it's going to become a little bit more stationary, though. I don't think it's just going to break out like crazy. I think it might retrace a little bit when we open to start pushing up towards the 720s again, and eventually 725 plus is still a target. So look for that very carefully on Nvda. For Aapl, we're going to be basically waiting for the decision to come out. So we have a nice head and shoulders like structure right now on Aapl. We're looking very, very nice. We're holding up so well. But the problem is, as we're holding up, we don't really have a nice break in either direction. We're just holding this range of very, very well. To be bullish on Aapl, you want to see it break and hold 190. It tried to break 190 after some bullish dividend rumors came out, but then it failed. It tried to break it, it failed and came back down. So if you're bullish, break 190, and we're going to be soaring very, very nicely. If you're bearish, you want to see it lose 188, and then it's possible small head and shoulders could end up playing out, and we could see this thing sink towards 186.5 and 185. Right now, I'm in the middle. We're kind of stuck in this range. There's a head and shoulders, which does suggest it might come down. But just to be safe, let's wait and see if we get that break, right? You don't want to call the break immediately. You need to see it happen in real time to really determine trade's going to go. So that's it for the main 5. Now let's break down what else is going on with the other charts out there. On the 4-hour time frame, Rivian is looking kind of bullish to me. We're going to be looking to see if we can try to break this high rate here and retest 16.8. Also, I want to call out that on the daily, it's still showing some life. It looks like you could push a little bit more on the daily towards this high rate here. I think that the high 16s could be coming. 16.8 is going to be my target. Look for a little retracement in the morning at first. Could retest 16.5 and then start pushing up higher. We could get very close to that target and eventually hit 17. So that's one possibility. For SoFi, we're on a very, very nice curl right over here, seeing a nice accumulation structure. We have to try to break above this resistance at 8.12. If we break it, we have this gap to fill at 8.4. So let's see if we can break it and get it close above 8.2. Then 8.4 is coming. And eventually we could get closer to 9. Let's see if that breaks out. Excuse me. For the Russell 2000 IWM, it looks bullish, but we're at 200, which is a tight resistance. We did reject here multiple times in the past. If we break through this, our next target is going to be up here towards 202. That's where we got that previous wick. So it looks bullish. The daily looks very bullish. I think it's going to push up for 202 plus, eventually 205. So it does favor the bulls quite more. For Microsoft, looks bullish right now. We hit 420, continuing to soar. If we break this, the psychological level will take us up to that 422.5 area, then eventually 425. It looks bullish for now. It's favoring the bulls. AMD favoring the bulls slightly, but not extremely strong, because I think it's the 30 minutes or the 4-hour time frame. I was actually checking this. I think it's actually the 30 minutes. We're trying to hold above our 20 EMA over here. We're going to see if this could hold. This looks to me like it might actually come down a little bit, retrace towards 172. If we hold above 172, it's going to bounce back up towards 174 to 175. If we lose 172, we're going to be sinking towards 171.24. I think 172 is going to be retested, and we'll be watching to see if we bounce or not. So AMD is not looking that strong right now. For the VIX is holding up, but be a little bit careful because the VIX hasn't broken out in any way, shape, or form yet. It's still hovering in the 12s, and it's not looking that great for the time being. So we could see this retrace a little bit more before we get some kind of bounce. The dollar index is down just a little bit, but it's trying to get a crossover on the 30 minutes. Look for a little push, which suggests that the market might come down a little bit on Monday early on before we see this thing reject again. It's on a downtrend, which is why I could see some more downside in the dollar. So I'll wait for that. For Coinbase, I just want to mention that if you look at the 4-hour time frame, it's going to retrace most likely. I think we're going to be watching to see if we can hold 140. If we lose it, we're going to be coming down towards 136. If we lose that, 132.8 is coming. We also have this gap to fill down here, so it could get a little retracement into the mid 130s. Basically, the gap would take it down to 134. Could retrace just a little bit and then bounce. And I don't think it's done just yet. We have earnings coming up soon. I think it's on a very strong uptrend. It might just retrace a little bit towards the breakout area and then bounce after that and start pushing up. So look for a little retracement, then a nice bounce on Coinbase. I think that's most likely going to happen. Google, to me, looks bullish because when you look at the daily, we're starting to fill this gap. We're curling right here on the MACD. We have this gap to fill. I think it's going to be pushing for 153 soon. Look for this thing to, as long as it holds 150, 153 is coming. If we lose 150, there's a risk of it coming back down to 148. So we'll just have to wait and see. The daily looks bullish, so I'm going to be looking for 153. It looks strong thus far. For Amazon, we're holding up nicely. We're testing 175. We'll see if we can break that. If that breaks, 177 is coming. Overall looks bullish, could push up quite well. And for Meta, we're kind of flat right now. We're going to be watching to see if we could try to hold 465. If we lose that, 460 is coming. If we break above this, we're going to be looking for a push up. So watch this carefully. We'll see if this could actually break out. But watch this carefully. We'll see how Meta does. With that being said, I just want to thank everyone so much for listening. I hope you guys have a very, very great day and a great Super Bowl weekend. Now let's just talk about the Super Bowl. I just want to make this a little fun at the same time. So something about me is when I was a kid, I grew up in the Bay Area, and I was raised as a 49ers fan. So, I witnessed the 49ers lose 2 Super Bowls. This is the 3rd Super Bowl in a very, very long time. The last time they won it was 1994. I'm really hoping they win, but let's be honest about how this could end up panning out. One thing I noticed is that the majority of people are betting on the Chiefs, and they're betting on Taylor Swift to get a proposal. In my opinion, anything could happen. You never know what could happen. But I think that if the majority are betting so much money on something, and you see so many people making their bets and becoming as confident as they are, the opposite is more likely to pan out because, once again, the NFL, it's a business. It is what it is. And I know a lot about what goes on from the back end. So I'm not going to get into all of that. I think that there's a very good chance that as the majority are betting on Taylor Swift getting her proposal and the Chiefs winning. I think the opposite is most likely going to happen. Not just saying this because of who I favor, but I think that there's a good probability that it's going to work better for the NFL, that the 49ers get a win. And if I'm wrong, it is what it is, guys. I mean, I don't really bet on sports or anything like that. But that's what I think is going to pan out. It is what it is. It's just for fun, guys. Have a great day. I'm predicting the 49ers win. So take care. Enjoy Super Bowl Sunday. Enjoy what life has to offer. And I'll talk to you guys very soon tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for listening. Take care and peace out.